Scorpio Rising, welcome here to Soul Passages Astrology. I am Georgia Dempsey, your astrologer, and I'm thrilled that you stopped by here for your March 8th eclipse report. Eclipses are super powerful times. They bring in huge events into our lives that tend to rock our world for 6 months to a year following the event. So it's a pretty big deal, right? And we have an eclipse happening in your 5th house on the evening of March 8th into the 9th, though I will say these events are usually so powerful that they may not always happen exactly on eclipse day, but may come in about 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after. Nonetheless, whatever shakes out is likely to change your world in a big way. So being aware of the energies that are afoot gives you an opportunity to channel them well and to try to get a hold of the tail of that eclipse and harness it in your best favor. So let's take a look at what is going on. I guess if I could say there's one main message I have for you during this March 8th eclipse, it is for you to get really serious about what it is that you truly value. That's the biggest message I have. And that's because you've got Saturn in Sagittarius squaring your 5th and 11th house axis. And it is the 5th house where so much of the energy is taking place. So let's take a look at the planetary lineup we have down there. It's huge. We've got Mercury, the planet of communications down there, sitting right next to Neptune, the higher octave of Venus. And it can have a very soul-filled feeling, and it can bring in fogginess and uncertainty as well. We've got Ceres, a dwarf planet that is all about nurturing and taking care of yourself. We've got both the sun and the moon there, and so this is a powerful new moon experience, also called a total solar eclipse. And so time to set seeds for what it is that you want. We have Chiron, the wounded healer, and at times during the eclipse, he's going to touch off both the sun and the moon. So very, very big deal down here. And we also have the south node of the moon, which is retrograde in your 5th house, all in Pisces. And whenever we have the south node of the moon involved in an eclipse, we tend to have other people in our lives delivering events to us, right? We're not as much in control of things as we would like to be. It's more people bringing up circumstances, bringing in situations, bringing in information, causing something to happen that we have to juggle or deal with, right? And so, you know, you're kind of on more of the receiving end in this eclipse. But let's take a look at all of the planets. And first, actually, it's all in Pisces. And let's think for a second about what the 5th house rules over. 5th house is, generally speaking, a pretty fun place. It has a lot to do with joy and pleasure and passion. So things like romance are involved here. Sexual exploitations, sexual experimentation can occur down here. Has a lot to do with children. Definitely has a lot to do with creative self-expression. And I will tell you, if you're an artist right now, you should be feeling absolutely wired to the max with creative potential. This is like that voice you want to have heard out into the world, and it is supercharged right now. When I see things like, Neptune conjunct Mercury, I see people wanting to communicate with film, with cinematography, with videos, with books that they are publishing, with screenplays, with art displays. I mean, you could be coming off the hook in terms of that sort of thing. but it rules all sorts of creative expression. And so a lot of you probably have some kind of vision for society right now that you would really like to enact, and you want to give a very powerful gift out to the world, and it's time for you to think seriously about what that gift is and how can you make it happen. So and also we've got Chiron, as I mentioned earlier, and there's a little bit of a feeling of woundedness with some of this and a need to heal that woundedness. And so whatever it is that's blocking you or holding you back in terms of lovers or having healthy relationships with your kids or getting that voice out to the universe, it's time to think about that. So let's take a little bit of a look at, say, romantic partners, because this is a big thing that happens down here. With Chiron down there, the wounded healer, and Neptune, and also Mercury, you could be having some very soul-filled talks with people in your inner circle right now. This could be very romantic. You could be having a very ideal relationship. Flip side is you could also be very self-sacrificing right now. You might not have great boundaries right now. You might be giving too much of yourself. And I think it's okay to definitely give in a relationship, but make sure that you've got some balance. Also, there is a need for you to recognize yourself as soul. That would be Sun conjunct Chiron, but also the lovers who enter your life as souls as well. So anytime we have serious relationship with someone, we have the ability to create karma with that person. And so you want to use your higher mind when entering a relationship, just knowing that you don't want to create bad juju for the other person or for yourself. And in fact, with the south node of the moon there, some of the people who are entering your life at this time could be people from the past. And when I say the past, maybe it's a lover you had previously in this lifetime, or it could be a lover that you had many, many, many lifetimes ago coming back. Now, sometimes they come back because they had a wonderful relationship with you and it wasn't finished, so they want to continue along that journey. And other times, maybe you had bad juju with them and they want to come back and even up the score. Sometimes that happens too. And so as you enter this period of sexual experimentation, just remember that the others in your life are vulnerable as well as you, and that any serious relationship you enter into has the ability to create karma for you and the other person. So just bear that in mind. Okay, and you might also find yourself seeking the absolute ideal partner. And the one thing I will say is, there is no such thing as absolute ideal. You may find a truly wonderful person, but ideal doesn't generally exist. So anyhow, as you go through this, just be sure to nurture yourself. That would be the message of Ceres, as well as the others in your life. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's a lover. Some of you could be going through issues with children right now and child rearing. Some of you could be working with a sick child at home, and you could be facing issues regarding that. And again, have those heart-to-heart talks that you need to have. Pour out your love. Take care of them, but while you are being the caretaker, make sure that you also take care of yourself. And if you're running into somebody who's got a drug or alcohol addiction, seek help from organizations or friends or groups of people that can help you to help your kids. That is definitely a very strong thing that I am seeing with this combination. And same thing here too. You have to recognize your kids as souls too. And that, you may recycle with these same souls over and over again. And so there may be some lessons to learn. But to give of your best down here in this fifth house. Now, when the wounded healer, Chiron, does touch off the sun, that is asking you to get serious about yourself as soul. And also, how can you express that inner, vital, yang energy, that creative self-expression that you have outward into the world? So a lot of the fifth house is about tapping into that inner child and having that voice heard. Again, that creative self-expression is probably just welling up in a lot of you, and you're trying to find a way to get that voice out. And so tap into that. And part of the Sun conjunct Chiron is the universe wants to breathe you a little. So if you're one of those people that stuffs that voice down and stuffs that voice down because it's inconvenient, well, this may be time for you to start saying, you know, I have a higher purpose, I have a higher density and a higher calling, and I have a gift I need to get out to the world, and it is time for me to do that. So getting in touch with yourself as soul, and if you have a soul purpose that you have not acted on, to get busy with that. It's also a time for you to build up your self-esteem. I mean, the fifth house is Leo and the sun, right? But the flip side is not to, you know, be too superior or ego attached or over the top with believing in yourself. You have to always leave room for the friends and others in your life as well, and recognize that there's always different points of view, right? So, you know, you just have to keep things in balance. Now, at other times during this eclipse, the Chiron is not only going to touch the sun, but it's also going to touch the moon. So again, super potent and powerful. That moon is our habit patterns. It's our emotional outpouring. It's our gut reactions. It has a lot to do with the past. Can even have to do with the women in our lives or our mother. And so, you know, we may be asked, are our habit patterns serving us well? Do we have emotional outbursts that need to be cleaned up at this point in our lives? You know, we should all be evolving as a soul. And are we growing up, basically? Are we putting on the consciousness light and changing as we should be? So also, you know, again, that feeling of the past coming forward is highlighted here. So is a lover or someone from the past entering your circle? And what can you do to heal any rough waters emotionally that you have with this person? Can you put a healing balm on things? Certainly with Chiron conjunct the moon, these are some of the questions that I would have for you. And again, you know, whatever's happening, whether it's something to do with a lover or a sick child, or again, this desire to have your voice heard in the world, there are enormous blessings for you right now in reaching out to people and networking. You've got Jupiter in the north node of the moon in Virgo in that 11th house. And this is just begging you to have that vision for society, to have that long-term dream, to have that gift that you want to give out to the world. And if you're having a hard time birthing it, and I imagine right now you are because of the square to Saturn, it's to talk to friends. It's to network with people. It's to get together with groups and organizations of like mind. I mean, the 11th house is your tribe, right? Jupiter also represents things like the clergy, the law, broadcasters, publicists, spiritual teachers, teachers of any sort. So it's to get in touch with these kinds of people. And since Jupiter is retrograde till May 9th, it's even more powerful right now if you reach out to somebody that you've dealt with in the past. But any connections you make right now are going to be very powerful. And you've got Pluto sitting in your third house of communication. So you're really being asked to rework your mind, rework how you think about things, and to get serious about communicating your gift to the world. So, my dear Scorpio Rising, that is your task right now, is to get serious about the things that you truly value. Question, you know, whether it's money. Are you strapped for cash? If you are strapped for cash, what can you do to downsize and make things better so that you can get that gift out to the world that you have brewing in that alchemical cave of the fifth house? That's where the juice and the action is right now, my friends. So I wish you very well. And if you have any questions during this eclipse season, I am running my special till March 1. Contact information is at the front of the video. I'm doing a 1-hour reading for $50. I'm happy to help. And even more importantly, I want to hear what shakes out for you. So please let me know what goes down, if this forecast helped you, if it enlightened you or set you on a good path. I want to know. And for some of you, I just see a huge creative project brewing. So let that universal spirit breathe you and see what comes out. There's many blessings for that vision that you currently have. So I wish you well. God bless and namaste.